There's a new innovation in AI named OpenClaw that I wanted to tell you about. It is very exciting. And it's really exciting because I think it makes the job of an accountant, a financial analyst, a controller, anybody involved in accounting and finance far more efficient. OpenClaw is in essence is a robot that you install on your machine and it does the job of an accountant. I'm going to demonstrate a real life use case that I set up for myself that's saving me 40 hours a month. Now, let's talk about AI. Let's talk about how the accounting and finance profession is going to change. To begin with, I've been in the accounting and finance area for more than 30 years. I graduated in accounting and went and worked professionally as a corporate accountant. Then I spent many years working with customers and clients to update their financial systems, their ERP systems, and have worked with hundreds of companies in automating with the best software there is out there for accounting and finance. So the AI era is really promised a lot of efficiency gains. And I think we're at a point where the efficiency gains are really beginning to be real. And again, I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the job market first. And I'm speaking to employees, both young, middle aged, and old, and how it's going to change our jobs, how it's going to make the job easier, faster. Now, innovation is not something new in business. We've had innovation. When I graduated from college in the mid 1990s, ERP was a new thing. We were beginning to get on enterprise software systems, and that made the role of the accountant very different. We used to have rooms of files with all kinds of physical ledgers, believe it or not. And we streamlined and we started using a centralized accounting system. And those systems have gotten better. The internet came around and it made systems even that much better after that. And now we have AI. So, how is AI going to change the profession? How can you take advantage of AI, make yourself more valuable, more marketable, and really adjust to the technology era we're in? So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some examples that OpenClaw is providing. And let me tell you, this is just the beginning. I think that with OpenClaw, there's going to be so many advancements. There's so much to be gained as an employee, an employer, a leader at a company. There's just so much to gain with OpenClaw. A lot of what I hear around AI is the potential for many job losses, and it's a real concern. Frankly, if you have a large group of people that are being impacted all at once, it makes it pretty hard. Maybe people are being displaced for a period of time. I get that. And I really feel for people that are in that situation. And I hope that this video helps you maybe find an area that you can up your skill set, get around or get informed on, and make it another area in your resume that you can show prospective employers that, hey, I'm a part of the future. I've trained myself to use the new, most current applications, technologies, AI, and I can do the job. I can think like a future thinker and use AI to do operations far quicker and have robots work on my behalf. Now, the impact of AI on jobs is expected to impact IT the most. But the second category is all around finance and accounting. And I agree with that. Again, I've been working in this space for more than 30 years. I understand accounts payable, accounts receivable, collections. I understand reconciliations. My first job in accounting was actually my college days, doing the full accounting for a business. Full accounting meaning I did the income statements, I did the balance sheet, payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable. I did everything. I was a mini controller for a business. When I went to corporate accounting, I had roles that went from accounts receivable, became a controller. I had cost accounting jobs and so forth. And as I look at my experiences in those roles, and I now have learned AI, I've learned OpenClaw, I've worked extensively with Gemini, I've worked extensively with Claude. I see that there is going to be a lot of efficiency gained. And people that use AI to do their jobs or get things done are going to be better off. They're going to be more valuable. They're going to do jobs far quicker. They're going to turn around financial statements and reports and so forth that much quicker. And I think businesses are going to benefit from it. Now, overall, we have to keep something in mind, which is the businesses that are laggards as we see this new technology become an advantage, they're going to be really hurting because the businesses that thrive, that really grasp the future and become more efficient, are going to have competitive advantages. So I think businesses are better off really jumping into the future, helping their employees up their skills, understand how AI can help them, and really become a leaner, faster business that can compete in today's marketplace. We're way beyond being in a global economy. The global economy really set up when we had the internet era, and that was 27 years ago. Now we're in a full global economy where skill sets from around the world are available for businesses to use. So it really is important for employees to understand that it's time to really up your game, get a little more informed. You can get really educated on YouTube. You can learn AI on YouTube. You can learn AI by using Gemini or Claude to help you learn a technology like OpenClaw. So let's talk about OpenClaw. And I'm going to talk about OpenClaw at a high level, and I'm also going to explain what I've done with OpenClaw. So you see that I've actually have done the work. I'm not just sharing something at a broad level. So OpenClaw has really taken over as the hottest name or the hottest topic in AI. And it was actually created by somebody in Austria. It's open source, meaning it's available to anybody. They're not charging for it. And there are some pitfalls, so be careful as you work with OpenClaw. Go to openclaw.ai. That's the official website. When you do searches, be very careful not to take the wrong link, which could actually end up feeding you malware, which would be a bad thing for you. So be real careful there. This is a really hot topic, and the reason for it is OpenClaw is really using the existing infrastructure of AI. What do I mean by that? For 3.5 years, we've had OpenAI. And soon after that, we had other large language models. And these were chatbots. These were really neat. We can go to them and get really good information. We can ask questions, really ask specifics. We could ask OpenAI to review a document and summarize it. So it was very good. That whole experience was almost one to one. It was a human being talking to a chatbot, getting really good information. What OpenClaw is now doing is it's going to act on your behalf. You're going to install OpenClaw on a computer, and that application, you're going to instruct it to complete tasks in your computer. And those tasks are going to be pretty much how you would do it. You're going to train it, you're going to review its work, you're going to test the work, and then once you approve it, it's going to continue to do so. I went through the whole cycle, and I'm very pleased with the result. So that's where we're at. Is this has been one of the promises of the AI era, is for AI to actually begin to perform some tasks, maybe some tasks that are pretty boring and difficult. Maybe we don't have time to do certain tasks. Well, now we have OpenClaw, and it can get to those pieces or those tasks when they should be done. So what's OpenClaw look like? It looks like any other chatbot. It looks a lot like OpenAI or Gemini or Claude. It has a different look and feel. Again, this is open source software, so it's not the prettiest interface you're going to find, but it's open source. It's free. Now you connect it to other systems. You would connect your OpenClaw to the large language model of your choice. There is a cost involved. It's not a lot. To this point, I've been using OpenClaw for well over a week and a half, and I've built out a couple use cases. And I think I'm up to $7.50 of tokens that I've spent, and it's done a large amount of work. I will gladly pay $7.50 for everything it's done. So it connects to a large language model of your choice. I connected to Claude. You can connect to Gemini. You'll have to set up API keys within those large language models. That's not hard to do. Just Open up Gemini or OpenAI or Claude and have it give you instructions on how to do that. Once you get connected, you install OpenClaw on a computer. It could be your main computer. It could be a secondary computer, which is what a lot of people are doing. They get a simple computer or maybe an older computer that they don't really need. And that's basically your robot that is doing tasks for you. And you can kind of just let it run. It could run 24 by 7. You can message to your OpenClaw robot by either WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord. You set up a channel and then you're able to basically message to your robot and ask it to do things or get updates. And it basically has a conversation with you. One of the things that's been really neat about OpenClaw is it has a personality. It really does. When you first install OpenClaw, you get to ask each other questions and kind of set the relationship and the tone of how you're going to be interacting with OpenClaw. Now, I've worked extensively with Gemini and Claude for over 3 years. I've been trying to see where there's going to be innovation and where there's actually just a lot of fluff. And I'm here to say that these tools are excellent, but the OpenClaw innovation is an absolute game changer. It's really going to change the way that we do work. And I think OpenClaw is just the beginning. Claude, or I should say, Anthropic has already come out with their version that's going to compete with OpenClaw. I don't know if it's as good, but it's just going to open up the gates for additional innovations to come out. Maybe OpenAI comes out with a competing product to OpenClaw. Gemini comes out with a product. And we're going to have a slew of robots that are out there available for us to use to innovate and make business less expensive, more efficient, make companies that we work with or that we own or that we lead more competitive and be able to thrive in the AI era. Setting up OpenClaw is pretty straightforward. You can go to openclaw.ai and start the download, or you could do a Google search and just ask to set up OpenClaw on, in my case, Windows. And you'll go through a process. You'll need to be comfortable working in PowerShell, which isn't all that intense because it's just really copying and pasting commands. Keep in mind, you could always have Gemini or OpenAI or Claude assist you in doing the whole installation process and setting up OpenClaw and getting you operational. Once you have OpenClaw installed, you interact with it a lot like we've been using Gemini, OpenAI, or Claude. You're basically working with a piece of software. You're asking it questions. You can ask it in natural language. You can use the microphone button and speak to it. Be as specific as possible. You probably already know that the AI applications, they really need all that fine detail. They can speed read faster than you and I. And that's a trick to setting up all of your OpenClaw processes. In my case, I created an update that I'm going to show you now, and I really wrote out in fine detail what I wanted OpenClaw to do. And we went back and forth just to make sure it was going to do the process right and it accomplished what I wanted it to do. But let me show you that use case, that real life example that is saving me a lot of time. I have a fairly long Google Sheet that contains the valuations of particular publicly traded companies. In the example that I'm showing, this is Union Pacific, and I basically have a ticker cell. I have all these cells that basically are getting entered in order to calculate the discounted free cash flow value of this particular company. And we have a cash forecast, and then we're going to in essence, get to an equity value for this business and compare it to the current stock price and see if this stock is priced at a premium or priced at a discount based on the value of those future free cash flows. I'm also looking at the earnings per share and modeling this particular stock. Now, it's easy to update one stock. I would go to Yahoo Finance, pick out the trailing 12 months free cash flow, and put it in the appropriate field, grow it by the appropriate amount, and so forth. But this particular spreadsheet has over 400 tickers, and it is a community project that I manage. And with that kind of volume, it just takes hours and hours of labor to update it. I've tried to update it with other tools, Gemini, and subscribing to APIs to bring in the data, but it just couldn't do it. We couldn't get over the line. And what it tried to do was install app scripts, which is Python script that would be written and update the Google Sheet. I went to Claude, and Claude tried a similar path of creating code, putting it in the Google Sheet, and that didn't work either. Now, both of those experiences, I think, made me more informed, more educated on AI. And when I got to OpenClaw, after an hour and 15 minutes, OpenClaw was able to update the trailing 12 months of free cash flow and also grow it by the appropriate amount. It's able to update cash, debt. It updated the the time when it did the update. It also updated shares outstanding, which were the critical pieces, as well as earnings per share. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but again, I've got 400 different tickers. If I went back and forth to Yahoo Finance, it takes a lot of time. If I subscribe to an API, it really wasn't getting the job done. So now the process of going to a website, getting that information, bringing it back, and writing it into this Google Sheet, OpenClaw is doing it step by step, identically to what I would do, which is frankly amazing. And it opens up so many other use cases for me. Just in this particular area, I also do reports based on this data, and I'm going to use OpenClaw to automate those reports. I also update other sheets with this information. I'm going to use OpenClaw to do that as well. But once you have one experience that you've completed from start to finish, I think it's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities for you where you can go find other areas of your job or your company, and you can streamline and make it even better, save a lot of time. Maybe there's some things that you just can't get around to. There's just not enough time in the week. Well, here is an opportunity to get to those things that just never get touched, never get reconciled, never get reported on. OpenClaw can come in and get the job done. The use cases for OpenClaw are pretty endless. You can just simple example, I get involved with some payment matching when customers send in their payment, but it just doesn't want hasn't gotten applied appropriately. It's usually just a misconnection between payment and an account. Well, OpenClaw can do that reconciliation. OpenClaw can log into systems. Be careful, OpenClaw can be very powerful, but it could probably match those customer accounts. So if you use an application like QuickBooks and so forth, it can definitely do that. It can create daily reports. You can ask it to do a daily report at a specific time, and you can instruct OpenClaw. Again, you're talking to it almost like you're talking to a financial analyst that works at your company or a staff accountant, and you're asking them at this time, I want you to create that daily report. Collections emails, it can automate the process of sending out emails and do it in the sequence that you want, the dunning letters that you want to send out. You can create dashboards and reports. And you're going to interact. It's your financial analyst, except it's a robot. It's your staff accountant, except it's a robot. Demand planning. I see a lot of use cases for demand planning because demand planning is a process of gathering a lot of big sources of data, history, sales history, and trying to match it to sources of your inventory and being able to do that demand planning. In companies that I've worked with, that's a whole team. Well, I think you can make that team operate much faster and probably do demand planning at a better level. Inventory replenishments. So we've had min maxes and so forth. I think it could really help in the whole management of inventory. There are endless areas all across accounting and finance. And geez, there's probably just so many possibilities. I really encourage you to get informed on OpenClaw, get familiar with it. It's almost like once you learn how to use spreadsheets, you really become that much more capable. And every advancement that you learned on spreadsheets made you that more valuable. If you think about macros or goal seeks, whatever more advanced feature in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet made you more valuable. And that's what I think we can use AI for. Whether you're young, in the middle of your career, or you're looking forward to retirement soon, I think AI can make your life more interesting. And I would encourage you to embrace it. We've been here before. When we had the internet, there was a lot of new changes the way we did business, but those that embraced it really ran towards the innovation, came out ahead. They probably created new jobs for themselves. They probably got into jobs that were more interesting. And that's what I think we're faced with at this time. So I would encourage you to embrace it. If you're new out of school and you're in a starting position at a company, you can probably get further ahead if you become one of the big innovators at your company and one of the change agents at your companies. So that is, I think, one thing that I would encourage you to do. That's what I tried to do in my career, and it really worked out well. And if you're in the middle of your career, I think that this could really be a kick in the pants and really help you to rethink your business, rethink how you do things as a company. We all want our companies to be as strong as possible, to serve customers more efficiently, to be just stronger in the marketplace. We'd love to work for the best company in a particular industry. And here's your chance to make your business that much stronger. And if you're getting towards retirement, again, this is a great opportunity to maybe finish out your career doing something that's really interesting, something that you can ride off into the sunset feeling like, hey, I really got inspired by something new that really redefined how we do accounting and finance. I certainly see it that way. I've seen the innovation really begin to save me a lot of time in what I do. And I'm really excited of what's going to come next. OpenClaw really did deliver a big value proposition in my eyes, and I think it's just the beginning. I think we're going to see other advancements in AI that are going to build on top of this new level of AI sophistication that OpenClaw has set as the standard. So that's my video on how AI is going to change the accounting and finance occupation, business processes, how companies could really advance and achieve greater results. Now, AI is a big topic. And if you're looking for assistance, look me up. My contact information is on my YouTube channel. I'd be glad to help you find a resource or a source for knowledge. And it is an area that I'm very interested in. I'm accumulating more and more experience, and I'll be of service to you as much as I can. So that's my video. And one more thing, I'd love to hear from you on how you're using AI in accounting and finance, and share the innovations that you are completing and inspire others to really embrace this new technology.